folks. I'm Andy Griffith. While it sure is great to be back here in Elizabeth City, I haven't been here since 1969. That's when my good friend Harry Thomas was principal of Elizabeth City High School. Harry invited me down that spring to judge the Miss Spotlight contest. I chose Cynthia Carter to be Miss Spotlight. She sure was a pretty girl. Well, y'all probably remember me best as Andy Taylor, the sheriff of Mayberry, North Carolina. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Mount Airy on June 1st, 1926. That's the exact same day as Marilyn Monroe. But my family was poor. I had to sleep in a dresser drawer as a baby because my parents couldn't afford a crib. You could say I grew up on the other side of the tracks. A girl I liked in school once referred to me as white trash. I bet she regretted that once I became famous. Well, I entered the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 1945. I was going to be a Moravian preacher, but I soon changed my major to music and became active in the Carolina Playmakers. Well, I met my future wife, Barbara Edwards of Carolina, and we spent our summers acting at the Lost Colony. That's the outdoor drama on Roanoke Island. I started out playing soldier in 1946 and ended up playing Sir Walter Raleigh himself. My, I've said this 46 times the last 2 days and I still forget my lines. The wardrobe department had to put some extra padding on my skinny legs when I played Sir Walter Raleigh. He must have gone down in history as having some mighty pretty legs. Well, I consider my summers there at the Lost Colony as the beginning of my acting career. That's also where I met the Manio native, Marjorie Midget, who had married Harry Thomas of Elizabeth City. The Thomases named their daughter Barbara after my wife. Also, when I was on Roanoke Island, I spotted a mighty fine piece of land. And I said to myself, if I ever make it big, I'm going to buy me that land and I'm going to live on it. Which I did. I was also buried there on July 4th, 2012. Now, Barbara and I, after college, we moved to Goldsboro, where I taught music and drama in the public schools. Well, we also did a comic act, which we performed in some civic clubs in small towns throughout the area. Well, it was on our way to one of those venues when Barbara realized we had played there before. So I had to come up with some new material and quick. So that's when I created what it was football. Now, some of you have heard what it was football. And if you haven't, I'm sure you can find it on the internet. What it was football was a comedic monologue in which a country hit describes his first football game. It was my first commercial success. Well, Barbara and I went to New York and I landed a spot on the Ed Sullivan Show. This was going to be my big break. There I was in front of millions of viewers, and I bombed. Not a single laugh. That's when I discovered that the country hit ain't very popular up north. But it served me well because I landed the lead in the Broadway production of No Time for Sergeants. Well, that was the inspiration for the Gomer Pyle show of the 1960s. No Time for Sergeants was made into a movie in 1958, and that's where I met my future co-star, Don Knotts. And we developed a lifelong friendship. Now, the Andy Griffith Show developed from an episode of the Danny Thomas Show in 1960. Danny Thomas was traveling through the South when he met up with the small town sheriff, Andy Taylor. Well, the idea hatched from there and grew. Andy was conceived as a widower with a small boy and a maiden aunt who kept house for her. And they all lived in a town called Mayberry. Now, Mayberry is an idyllic place. It's a place where everyone goes to church on Sunday, no one locks the door, and there's an eccentric but lovable character around every corner. It's a place where kindness and common sense is more important than the letter of the law. Now, Mayberry is a fictional place. B, what are you doing here?
Oh, Andy, you know it's rude to ask someone what they're doing somewhere. I left this morning without any breakfast. What were you thinking? I stopped to by to visit and chat with Otis for just a minute.
Andy, you know you're not a real person.
Don't be ridiculous. Now, where's Opie? You didn't send him to school on an empty stomach. Let's get straight to Effie, you slag.
Ain't B, you know Opie ain't a real person either.
Not real. And B and Opie not real. Really? Could you imagine a world without them? What kind of place would that be? Now, don't be late for supper. And if you have any manners at all, you'll invite all these kind people to join
That Mayberry is a fictional place. The more I think about it, ancient you might be right. Think of a world without A.D., Opie, Barney, or Otis, or Floyd, or Goober, or Helen. What kind of place would that be in? I kind of think that there's a little bit of Mayberry in every southern town, including this. Well, it certainly has been a pleasure talking to you all this evening. You all come back and see me again, okay? Now, Anthony, wait up.